the blue murder planet. If you saw a picture of HD 189733b, your first thought would probably be, oh, that's kind of beautiful. It's a deep, vivid blue, like Earth actually, like a marble hanging in space. And that is where the similarities end and the nightmare begins. This planet is located 64 light years away from Earth. It's what astronomers call a hot Jupiter, a gas giant that orbits insanely close to its star. So close that 1 year on this planet lasts just 2.2 Earth days. 2 days, that's the whole year. But here's what makes HD 189733b the first entry on this list. It rains glass. Not metaphorically, not glass-like. Actual silicate particles, the stuff glass is made of, condense in the upper atmosphere of this planet and fall downward as rain. Now on Earth, rain falls at about 20 miles per hour. Annoying, sure. Gets your shoes wet. Whatever. On HD 189733b, the winds on this planet travel at 5,400 miles per hour. That is 7 times the speed of sound. So the glass isn't falling down. It's flying sideways, horizontally, at speeds that would reduce a human body to nothing in milliseconds. And the temperature? 1,000 degrees Celsius on the surface. So to recap, if you were somehow placed on this planet, you would be simultaneously shredded by supersonic glass particles, incinerated at 1,000 degrees, and doing all of that while being whipped around at 7 times the speed of sound. And it looks pretty from the outside. Space is a liar. Remember that. We're going to come back to that idea. This is number 1 on our list, and it doesn't even come close to the planet that would end all human life in 6 hours. That one is still coming. Keep watching. Meet WASP 76b, a planet where it rains iron. Here's how this works, because the mechanism behind this is almost poetic in how brutal it is. WASP 76b is tidally locked to its star. That means one side of the planet always faces the star, always in permanent, scorching daylight. The other side is always in total darkness. The day side gets so hot, over 2,400 degrees Celsius, that iron literally vaporizes. Iron, the same metal we use to build skyscrapers and bridges, just evaporates off the surface like morning dew. That iron vapor gets picked up by the insane atmospheric winds and carried to the night side of the planet, where it's cooler. And there, it condenses and falls as iron rain. Scientists confirmed this in 2020 using something called the espresso spectrograph. They detected iron vapor on the dayside edge of the planet and found iron precipitation on the night side, iron rain. On Earth, we complain about acid rain. We have entire environmental policies about acid rain. The diamond planet. Let's take a break from the death planets and talk about the rich planet. 55 Cancri E is roughly twice the size of Earth and is located about 41 light years away. And for a while, scientists believed, based on its carbon-to-oxygen ratio, that this planet's interior could be largely composed of diamond. We're talking about a planet with a mass of roughly 8 Earths, potentially with a diamond mantle. The estimated value of that diamond? So incomprehensibly large that global economists don't even have proper models to describe what it would do to the diamond market. For context, De Beers, one of the largest diamond companies in history, built an entire century of business on the controlled scarcity of small rocks. This planet would detonate that entire concept. Now, here's the catch, and there's always a catch. 55 Cancri E orbits so close to its star that its surface temperature reaches about 2,700 degrees Celsius. The surface is likely covered in flowing, molten lava, oceans of lava, and recent observations suggest the planet may have a thin, shifting atmosphere full of volcanic gases. So yes, there is potentially a diamond planet, and it is completely inaccessible, unreachable, and covered in lava. The two-sun planet, real-life Tatooine. You know the famous scene in Star Wars where Luke Skywalker stands on Tatooine and watches two suns set on the horizon. When that movie came out, that was pure science fiction. A planet with two suns was considered a fantasy. In 2011, Kepler 16b made it real. This planet, about 200 light years away, orbits two stars, a binary star system. It completes one orbit around both stars every 229 days. And from its surface, you would see two suns, two sunsets. Now, Kepler 16b is a cold, gaseous planet. Not habitable, but here's what makes this discovery so profound. It shattered a long-held assumption in astronomy. For decades, scientists believed that stable planetary orbits around binary stars were essentially impossible. The gravitational dynamics were thought to be too chaotic for a planet to maintain a consistent orbit without eventually being flung out of the system entirely. Kepler 16b is just out there, calmly orbiting two stars, completely unbothered. And if Kepler 16b can exist, how many other planets are out there that we assumed were impossible? That question keeps astronomers up at night. Two suns, iron rain, glass storms, and we still haven't gotten to the planet that ends humanity. That's coming. Few more stops. The darkest planet in the known universe. Here's a question. What's the darkest thing you've ever seen? A windowless room with the lights off? A cave? A deep tunnel? TRES 2b reflects less than 1% of the light that hits it. For comparison, coal, which we use as a reference for how dark things can be, reflects about 4% of light. The moon reflects 12%. Earth reflects 30%. TRES 2b reflects less than 1%. It is darker than coal, darker than black paint. It is one of the darkest objects ever discovered in the known universe. And scientists still don't fully understand why. The theories involve light-absorbing chemicals in the atmosphere, things like vaporized sodium, potassium, titanium oxide. But none of these fully explain just how much light this planet absorbs. It's so dark that if you were somehow hovering next to it in a spacecraft, you might not even be able to see it clearly against the blackness of space. You'd be orbiting an invisible world. That is genuinely one of the most unsettling things I've ever learned about space. Not because it's violent, but because it's silent. A world that swallows light and gives nothing back. The burning ice planet. I need you to forget everything you know about how physics works for the next 90 seconds. Gliese 436b is a planet approximately the size of Neptune. It orbits very close to its host star, so close that its surface temperature is around 439 degrees Celsius, and it is covered in ice. Burning, hot ice. This isn't a joke or a metaphor. Scientists call it hot ice or ice X, a form of water that exists under such extreme pressure conditions that the molecules are forced into a solid state, despite the scorching temperature. The pressure on the surface of Gliese 436b is so enormous that water molecules literally cannot become vapor. The gravity compresses them into a solid structure, ice, even while they're being baked at hundreds of degrees. Fire and ice at the same time, on the same planet. The rock rain planet. We've had glass rain. We've had iron rain. Let me introduce you to the planet where it rains rocks. K2-141b is a super-Earth about 200 light-years away. Like WAS P76b, it's tidally locked. One side permanently facing its star, one side in eternal darkness. On the day side, temperatures reach about 3,000 degrees Celsius. That is hot enough to vaporize rock. Literally, the minerals that make up the surface of the planet vaporize into the atmosphere. The atmosphere of K2141b is made of rock vapor. Those vapors get swept by supersonic winds to the night side, where temperatures drop to around negative 200 degrees Celsius. The rock vapor cools, condenses, and falls back down as rock rain, and then it flows in rivers of melted rock back to the day side, where it evaporates again. A rock rain cycle, continuous, eternal. The planet is essentially recycling itself in real time. Earth has a water cycle, K2141b, has a rock cycle, where it rains rubies and sapphires. Okay, after all that death and destruction, let me give you one that sounds almost magical. HAT-P-7b is a gas giant about 1,000 light years away, and it rains gemstones, specifically corundum, the mineral that, depending on trace elements present, forms into rubies and sapphires. The atmosphere of this planet reaches temperatures high enough to vaporize corundum on the day side. Those vapors are swept to the cooler night side, and they rain down as gemstone particles, rubies and sapphires, falling from the sky. For about 3 seconds, that sounds incredible. Then you remember, this planet's winds are so powerful that the storm systems regularly reverse direction entirely. The weather patterns are so violent and unstable that even the direction of the wind flips. A rain of rubies delivered by a storm that changes direction without warning on a planet 1,000 degrees too hot to survive. Space knows exactly how to package horror inside beauty. It's almost like it's doing it on purpose. The zombie diamond planet. You remember the diamond planet I told you about earlier? 55 Cancri E? Yeah, that one's cute compared to this. PSR J1719-1438 doesn't just contain diamond. This planet is diamond, almost entirely. A crystallized carbon world roughly 5 times the size of Earth, with a mass greater than Jupiter. But here's the part that makes this planet genuinely disturbing. It's not just a diamond planet, it's a zombie diamond planet. This world used to be a star, a fully functioning star, likely a white dwarf, that got caught in the gravitational grip of a rapidly spinning pulsar. A pulsar is essentially a dead neutron star spinning hundreds of times per second, firing beams of radiation like a cosmic lighthouse. A diamond planet born from a dead star, trapped in the orbit of a spinning cosmic corpse, being continuously blasted with radiation every 2 hours. The planet that broke its own weather. Every planet we've covered so far has been extreme in one specific way: temperature, composition, rain type. But Upsilon Andromedae b is extreme in a way that is almost philosophically disturbing. This planet's weather shouldn't be able to exist, and yet it does. Upsilon Andromeda b is a hot Jupiter, orbiting very close to its star, tidally locked, like several others we've discussed. One side permanently facing the star, one side permanently facing away. You'd expect the day side to be hot, the night side to be cold. Simple enough. Except the hottest point on this planet isn't the side facing the star. It's offset by about 80 degrees. The peak temperature zone, the hottest region on the entire planet, is located nearly a quarter of the way around the planet away from the star. Like if on Earth, the hottest place wasn't the equator facing the sun, but somewhere in the middle of the Arctic Ocean. Scientists are still debating why. The winds and pressure systems on this planet interact in ways we genuinely do not fully understand yet. Upsilon Andromedae b isn't just a strange planet. It's a planet that is actively telling us our understanding of atmospheric physics is incomplete. Space has a way of doing that. Every time we think we understand the rules, something out there raises its hand and says, actually. The pink ghost planet. Most planets we discover, we detect indirectly. GJ504b was directly photographed, and it is pink, a deep magenta pink gas giant, roughly 4 times the mass of Jupiter, floating in space 57 light years away. When astronomers captured the image in 2013, it became one of the most visually striking exoplanet photographs ever taken. But here's what makes GJ504b scientifically strange, not just visually beautiful. It shouldn't be where it is. GJ504b orbits its star at a distance of about 43 astronomical units. For reference, Neptune, the farthest planet in our solar system, orbits the Sun at about 30 astronomical units. This planet is farther from its star than Neptune is from ours. And according to our standard models of planetary formation, a planet that massive simply cannot form that far out. It is a pink planet in the wrong place, visible, photographed, undeniably real. And it is one of several discoveries in the last decade that have forced astronomers to go back to the drawing board on how planetary systems actually form. Because whatever process built our solar system, the universe has clearly been running other experiments. A pink planet that shouldn't exist, a zombie diamond, a broken weather system, and we still haven't told you everything about the planet that ends humanity. That answer is locked and loaded. The most Earth-like planet, and why that's terrifying. Everything on this list so far has been obviously visibly extreme. Glass rain, iron storms, zombie diamonds. Easy to fear, easy to understand. This one is different, and in some ways, it's the most unsettling of all. Kepler 438b scores a 0.88 on the Earth Similarity Index, a scientific scale that measures how closely a planet resembles Earth. For context, Mars scores about 0.64. Venus, our closest neighbor, scores 0.44. Kepler 438b scores 0.88. It's roughly the size of Earth. It orbits in the habitable zone of its star, the range of distances where liquid water could theoretically exist on the surface. It receives about 40% more solar energy than Earth, but that's within a range that could still support liquid water under the right atmospheric conditions. For a brief period after its discovery in 2015, Kepler 438b was called the most Earth-like planet ever found. Scientists were excited. The public was excited. Headlines ran everywhere. Then we looked at its star more carefully. Kepler 438b orbits a red dwarf star. And this particular red dwarf produces superflares, massive explosions of radiation roughly 10 times more powerful than anything our sun has ever produced. And it fires them at Kepler 438b approximately every 100 days. Every 100 days, this Earth-like planet gets hit with a superflare powerful enough to strip away its atmosphere. Repeatedly, continuously, like rebuilding a sandcastle, every 100 days, only for a wave to flatten it again. If Kepler 438b ever had an atmosphere capable of supporting life, and it might have, it's almost certainly been blasted away by now. The most Earth-like planet we've ever found is being systematically destroyed by its own star, on a 100-day cycle, like clockwork. And here's the thought I want to leave you with before we get to the climax. Our sun is unusually calm, unusually stable, unusually quiet compared to the majority of stars in the galaxy. The fact that Earth exists in the condition it does around a star as well behaved as ours is not normal. It is, by galactic standards, extraordinarily rare. And that is the most terrifying thing I've learned in researching this video. Alright, you stayed with me, and I promised you an answer. Which planet on this list would kill every human being within 6 hours if Earth drifted into its orbit? HD 18973, 3b, the beautiful blue one, the one I showed you first. And here's why the 6-hour number is specific, not just you die instantly. 6 hours. Because of how far the glass rain and superheated wind would take to strip away Earth's protective atmosphere. Under those conditions, the effect would be gradual enough that early on, in the first hour, the outer atmosphere would already be shredding. Most high-altitude systems would fail, satellites gone, communications disrupted globally. By hour 2, the stratosphere begins destabilizing. Radiation exposure at ground level begins rising catastrophically. By hour 4, the thermosphere is compromised. The chain reaction in the lower atmosphere begins. Hour 6, unsurvivable conditions reach ground level globally. 6 hours, from first contact to extinction. And the thing that makes this so haunting isn't the 6 hours, it's the color. It looks just like Earth from space, blue, calm, beautiful. The universe's most dangerous planet wears the same color as our home. Now, I told you at the beginning there was one final planet, one I was saving. In 2023, the James Webb Space Telescope confirmed something extraordinary about a planet called K218b. a planet 124 light-years away in the habitable zone of its star. Webb detected the potential chemical signature of dimethyl sulfide in its atmosphere. On Earth, dimethyl sulfide is produced by only one known source, life, specifically marine life, phytoplankton. Scientists are being careful. This is not a confirmed discovery. It requires more observation, more data, more time. But it is the first time in the history of human civilization that we have detected a chemical signature that on our planet is exclusively linked to biological activity on a planet outside our solar system, in the habitable zone of its star. We may not be looking at a dead universe filled with glass rain and iron storms. We may be on the edge of the most important discovery in human history, and the James Webb Space Telescope is still out there, looking right now as you watch this. If that doesn't make you want to stick around and see what we discover next, I don't know what will. Subscribe, because when this gets confirmed, I'm covering it first.